and welcome to Podcast.init, the podcast about Python and the people who make it great. I would like to thank everyone who supports us on Patreon. Your contributions help to make the show sustainable. When you're ready to launch your next project, you'll need somewhere to deploy it, so you should check out Linode at www.podcastinit.com/Linode and get a $20 credit to try out their fast and reliable Linux virtual servers for running your next app. Do you need to learn more about how to scale your apps or learn new techniques for building them? Pluralsight has the training and mentoring you need to level up your skills. Go to www.podcastinit.com/pluralsight to start your free trial today. You can visit the site to subscribe to the show, sign up for the newsletter, read the show notes, get in touch, and support the show. To help other people find the show, please leave a review on iTunes or Google Play Music, tell your friends and coworkers, and share it on social media. If you work with data for your job or want to learn more about how open source is powering the latest innovations in data science, then make your way to the Open Data Science Conference, happening in London in October and San Francisco in November. Follow the links in the show notes to register. Your host as usual is Tobias Macy, and today I'm interviewing Antoine Nguyen about Modoboa, a project to make mail hosting simple. So Antoine, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for receiving me. So I'm a French developer. I'm 36 this year. I work in information technology for almost 15 years now. I'm mostly a developer, but I'm also a freelancer in France. I do many different things. Those last years, I've worked mostly on web projects. Modoboa is one of them, but I've also started many companies, many SaaS business with other guys, and I try to make Modoboa my main activity, but that's not so easy to make business on this subject, but I think we will have more time to talk about this after.
And do you remember how you first got introduced to Python?
Yes, yes. It was in 2004. My first job, actually. The guy I was working for asked me to develop a desktop client using PyTK. I never did such a thing, and I never used Python, so I was very happy to discover this simple language, and since then I I've always used it in every project I made.
And currently that project is Modoboa, so I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about what Modoboa is and the problem that you were trying to solve when you first started working on it.
Yes. So basically, Modoboa is a web interface to administer a mail server. I started it in 2009. I didn't have a good reason to start this project. Since 2004, I played with mail servers because in my first job I had to install mail servers based on open software components such as Postfix and Dovecot. But there was no easy way to do it, so I had to start again and again for each customer. So I was a bit bored by this activity, and I always thought a good interface would be really great to just create accounts, aliases, distribution list, and maybe set one or two settings, because Postfix is a great software, but not so easy to administer. And that's the same for Dovecot. So in 2009, I decided to try to make something different. At this time, I was not a web developer because my original education was kernel programming and network programming. So it was a huge change for me at this time, and that's all. I just wanted to try to do something, and now now here we are.
And does the name have any particular significance or meaning for you?
Not really. The first name of Modoboa was Male NG for next generation. Something I thought it was cool at this time, and the I don't remember the word in English, but I thought about a sentence to present Modoboa, which was something like modular mail hosting and something like that. And I just took the first two letters of the word composing this sentence, and the result was approximately Modo Boa. That's all.
Yeah, I was wondering if it might just be a word from some other language that I wasn't familiar with, but when I tried Googling for it, the only thing that came up was your mail server. So at the very least, it has a good search engine ranking.
Yes, I think so. I think maybe in Portuguese, in Brazil, maybe the name has a meaning, but I'm not sure about this.
And self-hosting an email server is something that was fairly common during the early stages of the internet, even into the early 2000s. But nowadays, most people just use hosted options like Gmail or Outlook, even for corporate environments. So I'm wondering, what are some of the reasons, from your perspective, that somebody should consider running their own mail server now that there are so many other options available?
That's a good question, and unfortunately, the answer is pretty simple. I think it's a matter of privacy. We've all heard about the NSA problem a few years ago, and I think people today realize that this is important to protect its private life, and that services like Gmail, Hotmail, or similar don't respect this. So this is not a trap, because a service like Google or Gmail warns you about this, but most people don't care about. That was true 3 or 4 years ago, but now I think, at least I'm talking about what I know, and this is the French market. But people realize that this is important, and they want to do something against it. And self-hosting, I'm talking about email, but this is also true for other aspects. So you can find products like YUnhost, Nextcloud, OwnCloud. All those software try to bring an answer to the privacy problem, and I try to do the same about email.
And when you are self hosting an email server, there are a lot of things to think about, particularly in recent years, with things like managing your reputation so that your emails don't end up in somebody's spam folder instead of their inbox, managing a lot of the specialized DNS records that help maintain that reputation and ensure that the mail that you're sending is coming from a trusted source. So, what are some of the utilities in Motoboa that will help assist with that process and that reputation management?
That's something difficult to make easy. Modoboa just relies on standard techniques: SPF, DKIM, most recently DMARC. Those standards help people and companies to maintain a good reputation about their emails. Recently, I added some features with Modoboa to check this reputation on a per domain basis. You can tell Modoboa to request DNSBL providers frequently to check if your domain, one of your domain is blacklisted or not. And I'm planning to improve those checks, to also manage DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records, to just check if they are present, and if they are configured correctly. That's one thing. And the other thing which requires a bit more work will be to generate record for people, and I hope I will do this one day. But once those records are generated, maybe find an automatic way to inject them to the DNS into the DNS configuration. But it will require to work with registrar APIs, and I don't know if all of them provide such API. So, that might be an issue to achieve this feature.
Yeah, and one of the things that might be useful in that endeavor is to use something like the libcloud project from the Apache Foundation that helps abstract over some of the APIs for various cloud and DNS providers so that you can have a slightly more unified approach to actually managing those records.
Oh, that's that's a good information. Thank you.
So, as you mentioned, Motoboa, at least at the base layer, relies on things like Postfix and Dovecot. So it seems that a decent amount of the sort of use case for Motoboa is gluing together some of these different systems and providing a nicer interface for managing them. So I'm wondering if you can just talk about some of the different pieces and layers that you have fit together to create this overall system.
So you already know about the SMTP and the IMAP parts, which are covered by Postfix and Dovecot. Monoboa also tries to focus on security because this is something important to not to receive spam and viruses. To do that, I've introduced support for AMAVs. That's an old piece of software written in Perl, but which works pretty well. And this is what we call a content filter, because it makes the bridge between the MTA, which is Postfix, and the rest of the system. So every time you receive an email, you send it to AMAVis, and this one do the anti-spam and antiviruses checks for you, and send back the email to Postfix if it was considered. So this is one thing. On the many people ask for features you find on Gmail or Outlook. Services such as contact management or calendar. So I'm trying to answer this question by doing some testing with a software called Radical. Radical is a CalDAV and CardDAV server written in Python, and I try to make a connector between Motoboa and this software to offer calendar synchronization and contact synchronization too. But that's not so easy as I thought when I started this project. So it might be longer to release than what I thought. What else? I think that's all for now. I've got many ideas, other integrations, but there is nothing concrete at the moment.
And on top of these underlying systems, from what I was able to gather from the documentation, the web UI and management interface for being able to configure and tune the different parameters is a Django application. Is that correct?
Yes. This is a Django application since the beginning. At this time when I was thinking about doing web development, I didn't want to do PHP or other stuff. I wanted to stay with a language that I appreciate. So Python was the only choice, and I discovered Django at this time, and I have to say this is really a great piece of the software.
And does the Django application provide a way for you to modify the configuration files for Postfix and Dovecot and AMAVis? And if so, what level of abstraction do you provide in terms of being able to update and modify those settings?
Unfortunately, no. That's something I don't want to start because the security issues are many, and I don't have the right answer to this problem. So that's something I'm planning to do, but I don't know how yet. I've got many ideas, but I have to try. And the most the biggest problem I have with Modoboa since I started it is the time, because this is not my main activity. I have to do other missions, other jobs in order to get money. So it's always a matter of time.
And so it seems that a decent amount of the security aspects of the system are relying on those underlying pieces of software and making sure that they are a little bit more difficult to actually access those configuration parameters than somebody maybe doing some sort of a cross-site scripting attack or something like that, where they would actually have to be able to uh, land on the server itself and modify the text files locally. Is that correct?
Yes, if you look at how Django is hosted on most servers, you will find that, as many programs, you will find that Django is not running with a privileged user. It is not running as root. It's running with a simple user. Postfix is running with a different user. Dovecot is running with a different user, and configuration files on the file system are owned by the root user. So I don't want to introduce a security issue by allowing the access to those files to the Django user. So I need to find a good way to do this.
And is your target user for Motoboa some primarily just individuals who want to be able to run their own mail servers, or are you also trying to build it for small and medium businesses who want to use it for their company email?
Actually, when I started this software, I was targeting individuals, but pretty quickly I was contacted by internet service providers in countries different than France, in Brazil, in Asia. I know that Modoboa is used all around the world today. And I was really surprised to receive questions and feature requests from companies, and not only small companies, but big providers too. For example, I was recently contacted by a provider in Sweden, which wants to replace its mail system, which is getting old today. And this company has approximately 50,000 accounts to migrate. So that's that's a big installation. So I'm really happy to discover that.
And so for these larger deployments, what are some of the scaling factors and strategies that will allow Motoboa to be able to handle that volume of usage?
If you Modoba is not really the bottleneck in such architecture. Hosting a web application and makes it scalable it's pretty easy today, and thanks to Django, this is more easy. But you can't. I think I don't think you can't find one solution to all those problems, because if you look at how works a mail system, you will find that each component has its own strategy on scalability. For example, if you take Postfix, you could simply create an MTA cluster with one more than one node, and load balance the traffic between every node using something like round robin DNS or such techniques. If you take Dovecot, the strategy is different, because because since you need to write emails to the file system, you need to find a synchronization strategy. So your cluster will not be configured in the same way, and you don't have the same issues about performance, because in one case you are talking about network traffic, in the other case you're mostly talking about IO performance. So this is not easy to find one answer to all those all those questions. But I try because I'm also doing some professional services around Moldova. I try to solve those issues for my customers. And maybe one day, if I have enough use cases to think about a solution, maybe I will be able to propose something standard, if I may say.
And for people who do want to run Motoboa on their own hardware, when I was looking through the documentation, I noticed that you do have an installer script for being able to set up all the different pieces and come up to a running system. So I'm wondering about the way that you determined what the sort of best configuration was for the lowest common denominator of user, where you just wanted to get up to a running single node system, and if there are any improvements that you're looking to make in that overall deployment story.
Yes, originally the installer was made for individuals trying to set up Modoba on a single server. So my target was to set up a functional system pretty quickly, a functional and secured system pretty quickly. So the configuration, postfix configuration and dovecot configurations are pretty standard, but I think it fits most of the use cases you will have as an individual. There are improvements I want to do. The first one is allowing people to choose the options they want to activate before launching the installer, because right now you need to modify a configuration file and reload the installer to apply them. Another improvement that I want to add is the possibility to upgrade an existing setup, because this is this is a common issue I'm aware about. Many people are asking for a simpler update mechanism, but that's not something something so easy to do. And maybe yes, another improvement is to support more Linux versions, and maybe other operating systems like FreeBSD or NetBSD or some other BSD systems. And the last improvement I'm thinking about is the possibility to maybe deploy Modoboa on more than one server, but I don't think the installer is the right way to do this. Maybe I will work maybe I will work with Ansible or Docker for this improvement, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So.
And does the installer do any sort of hardening of the system at all, or is it purely concerned with installing the mail components, and the actual system security is more left as an exercise to the user?
There is no, the installer does not deal with hardening the underlying operating system, but that's something I could do. But once again, I have to check on which operating system I'm running, and so which are the mechanism available to harden the system. So as long as I stay on simple distributions like Debian or Ubuntu or maybe CentOS, that's pretty easy. But for example, if one day I had a Gen 2 support, it will be more difficult to harden the system. So I just need to find the right way to do this.
And have you looked at all into providing pre-built cloud images for people to be able to deploy on some of the various different cloud providers, using something like Packer or something like that, to be so where somebody can just go to Amazon or Linode or wherever and just say, this is the application that I want to be able to run, and just have something that they can just click a button and deploy?
Not yet. I was thinking about Docker for a start. I know some hardware provider like Synology or Drobo already provides images of a pre-installed Modoboa version for their system. But that's all for now. But definitely that would be something great to have. But once again, that's a matter of time. I would be really happy to receive contributions about this, but for now, I'm still waiting.
So, what are some of the most challenging aspects of building and maintaining Modaboa, and what are the pieces that you enjoy the most?
Today I receive more and more feature requests, bug reports, questions from the community and the users, and it requires a lot of time. So that's the most difficult part to manage. I'd like to have more time to work on new features, maybe rebuild some features I did in the past and that outdated today, or maybe I did it too quickly, and I'm not always happy with the code I made. So I want to refactor it, but I think that's a common that's a common practice with developers. So I'd like to have more time about this, but I think now I have to focus on the support on the support part. So that's why I propose professional services and support plans to users. But it's not enough right now to allocate me more time to work on Modo. And what was the last part of your question?
The part that you enjoy most about working on Modaboa.
Learning new stuff and trying new stuff. That's Modowa has always been a playground to me, a project where I could try new technologies, new frameworks, trying to set up something difficult. And this is a demonstration of my skills. Also, I can when I'm asked in a job interview what are my skills, how I can demonstrate it, what I know. The answer is pretty easy because I can say okay. I'm the maintainer of this software. Go to the GitHub account, check my code, check the website, check the documentation I write. Okay, this is pretty complete. So that's what I'm proud of today.
And on top of all of the mechanics of sending and receiving mail and managing the spam filtering, etc., there's also a decent amount of UI that you've built on top of it as far as being able to gather and report on metrics of the volume and types of mail that are being sent and received and account management. So I'm wondering if you can just give a high level list of some of the most notable features and maybe some of the features that you are working on and have planned for future releases.
Yes, I can do that. I'm just opening my issues list. So on the user side, I want to, as I said, I want to introduce a nice calendar feature into Modoboa, and with that, a synchronization feature. I added a contact management plugin a few months ago, so now the only missing part is the calendar. I think I'm going to rewrite the webmail a bit because already it is too buggy. I did it very quickly for for not a customer but a use case in the past, and today I don't want I don't want to work on this version. I just want to rewrite it completely. So I think I'm going to do this in the next month. On the admin side, I want to introduce more features to make the DNS configuration more easy. Maybe some XMPP integration with a instant messaging plugin. I'm thinking about this. I already work with Prosody, which is an XMPP server written in Lua. I'm already working with this on my private server, but there is no integration with the web UI. So maybe I will propose something in the next month if I have enough time. And what can I say? There is a lot of features waiting in my backlog, but I don't remember every one of them. Sorry.
Sure. So, are there any other aspects of Modaboa that you think we should talk about, or anything associated with it that you want to bring up before we start to close out the show?
Yes, I think the last thing I should work on, or maybe the community should work on, is the documentation, because today it only deals with configuration or setup, but there is no real guide about all the possibilities you have with the web UI. So a good user documentation will be really appreciated.
All right. Well, hopefully we can help you make that a reality.
Thank you.
So for anyone who wants to get in touch with you and follow what you're up to, I'll have you add your preferred contact information to the show notes. And so with that, I'll move us to the picks. And for my pick today, I'm going to choose the Dropbox Paper web app because that's what I've been using for the show notes for the episodes for quite a while now, and it's been great. One of the things I like most about it is the fact that it actually supports Markdown syntax so that I can just copy and paste the end result into my CMS and click publish and not have to go through any pains of reformatting or conversion from one format to another, like I was having to do with things like Google Docs. And they've been adding a lot of new features and functionality, so it seems like they've got some sort of minimal project management templates and things like that. So it seems like they're doing a lot of work on making it very useful and making it be a pretty full-fledged competitor to some of the other online collaborative document editors out there. So for anybody who is looking for something like that, definitely recommend taking a look. And so with that, I'll pass it to you. Do you have any picks for us this week, Antoine?
Yes. So also to contact me, you can send me an email. So my email address is tonio@ngyn.org. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. My Twitter account is ANTNGU, and that's all. So this is the new this is the new year. So everything. Start again, and I practice martial arts since 15 years now. This is capoeira, and this is a Brazilian martial art which follows me for many years now. This is the other thing I do the most after Modoboa.
For anyone who isn't familiar with capoeira, it's definitely quite fascinating to watch, and I have an immense amount of respect for anyone who can actually do it.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me about the work that you're doing with Modoboa. Definitely seems like an interesting platform, and I wish you the best of luck on that. And I hope you find a lot more use for that. And I hope a lot of people who are listening to the show are able to gain some value from it. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, I hope to, and thank you for contacting me.